Today, we're in Wales, and we're here to talk about books. It's a well-established fact that the people of the United Kingdom like to read. But what's lesser known is what happens to all those books once they're done with them. Every house in the United Kingdom has a slot attached to a chute, and that chute leads to this place. And this place is Hay-on-Wye. Hay-on-Wye is a Welsh village not far from the English border. And it's here that all those books come flooding in. You can find every kind of book here, and there are dozens of booksellers, dozens of bookshops, and dozens of books, literally dozens of books, maybe even hundreds, maybe even millions. There are so many books in Hay-on-Wye, they've literally had to build outdoor shelving space in the courtyard of their castle at the center of town. I'm not kidding. Look. You may be familiar with Hay-on-Wye from the Dr. Seuss book of the same title. Hay-on-Wye, Wye on hay, hay-wye, wye hay, wye on hay, hay-on-wye, hay in socks, wye in socks, wye socks, hay socks. Well, you might not know it. It was an unpublished book. But the reason we're here in Hay-on-Wye is to talk about two phrases that come down to us from the production of books, from the printing press. Mind your P's and Q's and feeling out of sorts. Now, one thing you need to know about the printing press, which you see behind me right now, is actually, if you don't see a printing press behind me right now, that's a failure of the imagination, and I want you to think a few minutes about that. One thing you need to know in order to understand how it is that printing presses worked is that printers would place the letters of their text onto a plate in backwards fashion, a mirror image. Those images would then be pressed onto a paper or parchment, and then that would produce the text that you see and would read in a book. Certain letters, such as P's and Q's, could easily be confused, since they're mirror images of each other. The original phrase, mind your P's and Q's, then, was meant as a warning to apprentices, printers who didn't know necessarily what they were doing or hadn't much experience and would need to concentrate very hard on keeping the P's and Q's separated. We use the phrase mind your P's and Q's to indicate that someone should be concentrating on their own work and not caring so much about what other people are up to. Another phrase that comes down to us from the printing press is the phrase to be feeling out of sorts. This is a phrase that's more common in British English than American English that means something like, I'm feeling a little bit sick, a little bit down, I don't quite know what's wrong with me, I don't know how to put it into words, but I'm feeling out of sorts. Originally, a sort was a set of text that would be produced on a printing press, the series of letters that would produce a number of sentences that would then be printed. When you ran out of letters, because there were a limited number of characters that a printer could insert into the printing plate, when you ran out, you wouldn't have any more, and you would be out of sorts. And therefore you would have no more words to produce, and you would be at a loss, and probably a little bit exasperated by the fact that you couldn't produce anymore. That phrase, originally used in the printer's world, became translated for the everyday world to mean something like, I can't put into words exactly why it is that I'm feeling off, but I'm feeling out of sorts. And those are some of the ways that we've learned to mind our language here in Hay-on-Wye.